Hi, and welcome to QuestCast, voiced research briefs on the business of travel, where we discuss the big challenges and opportunities now facing the industry. My name is Luke Bajarski, founder at Luft. Thanks for tuning in. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. So today we're going to be talking about Facebook's move into e-commerce and what this means for travel. I'm joined here today with Eric Shepard, who is the founder and CEO of Trill Travel, a company that is leveraging user-generated content to kind of mix up the travel shopping and discovery experience. So we're going to talk a little bit about Trill and then dive into what's happening with Facebook as it evolves into e-commerce and what that means for travel brands. So welcome to the show. All right, Eric, thanks for joining us. Why don't you give us a quick overview of what Trill's up to?
Sure. So we saw a big movement in socially driven commerce, and we noticed that the fashion space was doing really well in consumer products. And travel is actually the biggest category of content on social media. It's about 70% travel related in some way, shape, or form. And Facebook and Instagram wasn't doing a good job and not really focused on organic content and making that actionable and bookable. Very, very advertisement focused. A lot of people are going through the rabbit hole and using Instagram and Facebook as this amazing discovery tool, being more effective than the TripAdvisors of the world in kind of exploring hashtags and locations and seeing these unique experiences that they might not find on the typical travel sites. And our goal was to structure that content and make it actionable and bookable in the travel space.
So why don't you walk us through the kind of the user experience perspective? How does that work? Is it going through the Trill app, or is it going through Instagram and then booking, whether it's hotels or restaurants, directly through Instagram? Just walk us through that.
Yeah, so we're really building this dual-sided marketplace. So one of our customers is the content creator. So we give them the tools to monetize their content. We create this bookable profile of all of their travel experiences. We give them a custom URL. They could put that on their Instagram story, swipe up and check out my experience in Barcelona. That takes them to their profile on Trill, where they see an interactive map of everywhere they've been that's travel related and see their content in recent order. So if they were just posting about Barcelona, they would see that photo and ultimately click book. And that would take them to the best partner to book either that hotel, that experience, or that restaurant. We have about 30 different booking partners. And then if they facilitate that booking, the content creator would see a commission off of that. So one of the funnels would be coming from Instagram, coming from a story that a content creator posted, coming from their bio, link in bio. Some of them are putting them in their highlights, which are kind of those stories that are saved. And then, some of them are putting them on their blogs and sharing them with their networks. So that's kind of one way to come through to the Trill experience. It's a mobile web responsive platform, so it works on the phone, it works on the computer. It's not a native app. You don't need to download it. And then we obviously have some consumers coming to us through just normal Google and directly kind of organically finding us, and they would land on Trill and have a search bar just like you'd see on a TripAdvisor or an Expedia. And really the differentiator there is when normal consumers are going to look for a hotel in Amsterdam, they see the same crappy hotel stock imagery of the bed in the lobby on every single travel platform. And content is so important, and everyone is resonating towards this amazing content. And so many people can create this content with drones and GoPros and their 10 megapixels on their iPhones. So the content that just normal people are creating is really amazing, and people want to replicate these experiences that they see. So they can go and type in Amsterdam on Trill and search by hotels and restaurants and activities and see where our content creators have been in that area. They could see which content creators specialize in different things. So, we have foodie content creators and adventure and wellness and family to help inspire you where to go. And then you could see trending destinations. You could search any hashtag that you'd like and see which content is relevant. It's really an interesting content-driven experience.
Right. So it sounds like the key difference from what you're doing or versus, let's say, a Hilton or a TripAdvisor then here is that you're enabling the content creator to actually monetize their content. Is that right? And then actually using that traffic to generate momentum with the Trill platform.
Correct. That is one of our goals, and we've always thought that that could lower our customer acquisition costs, kind of having these content creators all over the world pushing these links and driving traffic to Trill, which ultimately will drive traffic to our partners, kind of this unique funnel. And I think it helps both the content creators figure out which brands that they're adding value to and showing bookings so they could really sell themselves better to the brand. And then obviously on the brand side to say, hey, these are the top 50 content creators that are driving traffic and bookings to my brand. I want to work with them. Right now, they don't have access to any of that information unless they're doing campaigns with different people. No one's saying who's valuable to them based on actual ROI.
Gotcha.
So we do think that that's an interesting selling point to the hotels and
Gotcha.
travel brands.
Okay, so we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about Facebook. Facebook says that it's getting into e-commerce. What does that mean for you, or what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been seeing it, pretty heavily on Instagram. Obviously, the engagement there from a shopping perspective is very impressive. But the problem that I think they have and that they're just not focused on is the organic content. They are so focused on advertisers, and they're making this content shoppable in fashion, and they're really only making it shoppable for these brands. They're not making it shoppable for the everyday person. And maybe they'll move to it a little bit in fashion, but I think there's a long way for travel. And I even know some travel brands that are trying to make their content shoppable in Instagram and Facebook, and they're just not allowing them to do that on their organic content yet, which I think is interesting. Just going down the road of just talking about kind of commercializing and making everything shoppable in terms of travel. If I have an influencer that posts a picture at the W in South Beach and Instagram wants to make that photo shoppable, who are they pushing that booking to? Are they going to push it to the W brand who's spending millions of dollars for them, who's selling that room for that night at $7.99, or are they going to push it to Kayak or Expedia or Priceline or Booking, who's all spending millions of dollars with them, all selling that room at the same night? So I think travel's very fragmented. It's not as easy as fashion, where someone's posting a picture of a sweater at Theory and they can only buy that sweater at Theory. It's an easy plug-in. So I think travel's really, really fragmented, and I think there's a window of opportunity for us to kind of attack it. And it's almost like the same thing of Google. When you look at Google and everyone's like, why aren't they just becoming the next booking engine? They're just making too much money from their advertisers. So I think it's very similar with Facebook. I think they're going to continue to monetize and commercialize and e-commerce products that make sense, which are fashion and kind of consumer products. I think travel's extremely fragmented, and they're going to continue doing it with their advertisers and helping their advertisers promote. But I think from an organic standpoint, they're still a long ways away from making everything bookable in that sense, if that answers your question.
So yeah, I mean, one of the things that I thought was interesting and relevant to this conversation was a partnership with TripAdvisor and Facebook, specifically TripAdvisor's food division or restaurants division in Europe, La Fourchette, where they're actually going to be feeding bookable content through Instagram for restaurants in Europe. What's your take on that, and how does that kind of fit in with what you're doing?
I think there's so many different ways to put this content throughout Facebook and Instagram, and I think it does make a lot of sense. But I'd be curious, who is that? Is it still coming as a sponsored post from La Fourchette or from TripAdvisor, or is it kind of in that organic, flow? Because I do think that's a big difference for the user when they see that kind of sponsored feel. But they're doing great lengths, Instagram to kind of connect, and Facebook to connect with these brands. So whenever you're going to that restaurant's page you can kind of go in and there could be like a book button on their profile, which again, they're very brand heavy. They're very advertisement focused. They're not focused on the organic content and figuring out ways to monetize and structure that better. So that's always been the whole.
Right.
I think they'll continue to do great partnerships with great brands. But again, it's very, very advertisement driven. Not really organic focused, and everything that keeps coming out is to help their advertisers. So we're continuing to see that, and I think these partnerships are great, and just, again, it's kind of proving my mission, which is awesome. So yeah, I think it makes sense, and I'd be curious to see how that rolls out, if it's more of a sponsored versus organic kind of feel. But yeah, I think restaurants is kind of an easier play than, there's not much like brand loyalty where I'm going to book it with the W brand, or I'm going to book it at booking.com, or I want my points with Starwood, so I'm going to stay with Starwood. So, if you're going to that restaurant, I think it's a lot easier. I also think it's easier from the activity standpoint where, you don't have as much brand loyalty with a Get Your Guide versus a Viator or just some website directly. So I think those are areas that could help and make sense and kind of continue to grow. But I'd be curious to see how they integrate that into, the feed. Is it a spot?
Gotcha.
Kind of my thoughts there.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, great. Well, Eric, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure.
Great. Cheers.